The objective still remains the same. Our goal is to provide conceptual mappings and guidance and best practices to support CETUS SDTM to OMOP conversion. As you guys remember, last time we spoke about this, the major challenge has been access to real world clinical trial data, which we've managed to accomplish via Vivly and some other avenues as well. But Vivly is our predominant main source of real world clinical trial data. So I think we can easily achieve the first key result there by using at least equal to 3 or greater real world SCTM studies. And we're slightly pivoting from what we originally had last year, which was more geared to executing some of these mappings at a value level perspective and leveraging all the terminology that would exist in some of these real world studies. What we've learned is that we have limited access to the environment of Ivui to be able to do some of this work. And, for example, we have 3 people on our team that have access, and getting the tooling into the actual environment, installing that, getting it set up, and having other participants not being able to actively work within the environment has been a challenge in itself, but we're working around those parameters by pivoting our strategy to doing the conceptual mapping. So that means staying kind of above the waterline, but also doing periodic testing of some of the terminology, but not to the full extent that we had originally planned. So key result number 3 is essentially a draft SDTM to OMOP guidance, targeting Q1 2024, at least for that. Since the rest of this year we'll be doing some of those conceptual mappings and drafting some of the topics and best practices. I think at the end of the day, the deliverable will be a starting point for industry to leverage SCTM to OMOP, but we can acknowledge that it's a continuous journey. We'll get feedback from those that do actually implement it within their organizations and update and accommodate those back into this guidance and mappings accordingly. So I think if you go to the last slide there, the continued ask, I would say, is getting more access to real world clinical studies in STTM format, especially those that don't have kind of the challenges that we're in in the current mode, and being able to use that de-identified and kind of even public domain would be even better. Um, the entire study package there. As always, probably with any working group, we're always asking for volunteers, especially those can help with some of the high level concept mappings. Again, those with expertise on either end of the spectrum, SCTM or OMOP, would be highly welcomed. And if there are any organizations who are actually doing this currently, I would love to get in touch with them and understand their lessons learned and challenges that they're currently encountering, or even best practices maybe they came up with. So knowledge sharing is a big piece to this as well.